Taking a quick detour.
Sorry.
Get on the microphone.
You want him on the mic?
Yeah.
All right.
So, hi. Welcome to the Comic Shop Does a Podcast.
We're
We're
live.
just going live, and we're here with a very special guest that's not Jonathan Ashline. Sir, could you tell me who you are and what you do?
My name is Ryan Best, and I'm a comic book artist.
So, this is my name's Evan. I'm the owner of the comic shop. This is
I'm
Aaron
Aaron.
Zeeley.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
He is also a comic shop artist or comic book artist.
Well,
I do art at the comic shop too, so I guess that
So
could be both. Yeah.
we've got like a minute to talk about this, but we love talking to artists. So tell me what stuff have you done?
a lot of stuff you probably haven't heard of. A lot of independent stuff that people fund through Kickstarter, GoFundMe, stuff like that. Have you guys ever heard of C.T. Fletcher? He's like a big weightlifting guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say he's not a comic artist.
No,
he's
he's
like a
not.
big
He's a
juiced up dude.
Yeah, but I worked with him. The Rock was partially attached for like 3 months.
He's an
and I
even
backed
bigger,
out.
more juiced up dude.
yeah. But that's probably like the biggest thing that I got to work on so far.
That's really
Excellent.
cool.
I mean, we love all the smaller press stuff because that's the world that I'm in, is like self-publishing. Like, I'm a middle school art teacher here, but I've been doing my own comics
cool.
now for like what, 5 years, 7 years. I can't even
I
remember.
don't even know you that long.
Maybe even 10 years if I count like.
I like how we're not
newspaper
even
strips.
on camera either.
But I'll have to get more of that info of other Kickstarter stuff because I love small press stuff.
Oh,
I'll have to
definitely,
check
Yeah,
it
we're
out.
gonna steal your information before
Yeah.
you go, so we can bother you.
Okay,
online.
cool. Sounds
Okay,
good. I think I have business cards with me.
All right, awesome.
Awesome.
If you want to go explore the store, go explore the store.
Okay,
And,
great. Thank you.
he's actually got a comic coming out in 2 weeks for Rice.
Number 9?
Yep. Number 9. Yes. If the printer can print it, you can do it, guys. Come on.
Nice meeting you. Thank you. All right, Jonathan,
Yes.
we're doing a podcast.
Are we?
I don't even
Is that
know.
what's happening right now?
It's broadcast audio.
Aaron, introduce us.
Oh, hey, we're the Comic Shop Does a Podcast with me, Aaron Zeeley.
Oh, hi, I'm Evan Coy. I'm the comic overlord, I guess. And we're here today with a couple other special. We have so many special guests. We have a studio audience today. Damien's here. But we're here with Jonathan Ashline. Jonathan Ashline, who's probably our biggest regular
I think I
friend
am.
of the shop, with a new book that he just kickstarted, My Pocket of Fears,
My
on therapy.
Silent Cacophony
My Silent Cacophony.
My Silent Cacophony,
is the new one.
on therapy, hospitalization, and treatment.
Yep.
And you brought an artist with you today as well.
Check this out. You're on camera.
And this is Jennifer?
This is Jen Murphy,
Jen Murphy.
who did
You know that Jen Murphy used to be married to Savage Dragon?
I did not know that.
Yeah, she was killed.
probably a pretty common name.
Yeah.
My
I
condolences.
told you this is chaotic.
If you want to introduce yourself, I don't know you really.
I'm actually not an artist. I'm not trained or anything. It's just a hobby.
Well, that's great though. Maybe that's the zone that more people need to keep that in because I'm obsessed with making art. Maybe if I could have just like ease off it a little bit, that might be a good thing.
You're still not on camera.
Me? I like to be a man of mystery.
You are. You
Where
always
am I
hang-
on
Yeah,
frame?
just half your face.
You always hang off the screen.
Two face, half face.
Oh,
It's my supervillain name, half face.
half face.
this is the part where we ramble for 5 minutes, then we eventually talk about stuff. This was a weird day. I'm exhausted. I
Yeah?
helped Alex Dexter move.
Oh,
all his comic stuff this morning.
oh!
and,
Who's
uh,
at the door?
Who's at the door? Hello.
Oh, this is great.
It's like an episode of Mr. Rogers.
Come on in. Hello. You have to introduce. You have to get on the microphone and introduce yourself.
You don't really have to do that.
No? Okay. So I don't know. This is way more chaotic than I thought it was going to be. This even for us.
This is about par for the course.
Is
This
it?
is the Comic
Yeah.
Shop Does a Chaos Cast. I feel like we've been more organized. I feel like the one we just did with Mr. Damien Schofield the other day was quite
so
good.
good.
Very,
Did
very
you watch
structured and
last
excellent.
one?
That was fantastic.
Did I? Was I?
You
Was
missed
I? Was I
last
there for
week.
last week?
No.
Where was I?
saw last week.
Oh, last week we did.
Oh, the karate.
we did
and the
karate.
martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We,
I
that
saw a little
was-
bit of it. I did do a little bit of it. I had other responsibilities at that moment. Probably
broke-
changing diapers.
I broke a board with a palm strike.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Never done that before. So no lumber. No
Congratulations.
lumber is safe around me. Is the declaration I've made in the past few weeks. No lumber is safe.
It's a dangerous man and the wood shortage.
Yeah. Jonathan Ashline. My Silent Cacophony.
Yes.
Tell us about your Kickstarter this go around. This is your second one. Take a big sip of water.
Mhm.
This is your second Kickstarter.
Get all of that on the mic because
Yep.
we're gonna need that for later.
The ASMR, is that what they call it?
We're gonna remix it all.
Tell us about your experience this go around versus the first time, and where this book came from. I know it's part of a series of books, a trilogy,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yes.
But if you want to just kind of give us some background on your My Silent Cacophony.
Yeah, the second book has been much more difficult than the first book, due in large part because of the subject matter, but also the Kickstarter was a little less than the first one, so I was dealing with some, kind of let down from the Kickstarter and trying to continue with the writing and not have that affect the actual book.
Mhm.
But yeah,
What do you mean let down?
it-
You
I funded, yeah, but it didn't raise quite as much as the first book. And
But I mean, you're doing back-to-back books. I felt like it was an aggressive schedule, and you got it done. And like
it was
here we
definitely
are, 2 books in within
schedule.
a year, within
Yep.
a year almost to the day.
to the day, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw, but I just got the first. I got on Facebook today, and I got a reminder that the first book had come in 1 year ago today. So,
Which, and again, it was the
day of
the day
this
of
podcast.
See, I
yeah.
pay attention to things.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two books in it in one calendar year. That is ridiculous.
I some days I still feel like I'm slacking.
I hear you. I hear you. You gotta try to shut those voices off.
No,
sometimes.
you make everybody look bad. Your level of
that's
production.
what I do.
Your level of
Yeah.
production is not human. But so I'm sorry. Continue with your because I don't view that as maybe you didn't get quite as many dollars as the last one, but you still did. That's your second successful Kickstarter, which is not easy. I've seen a lot of people really struggle with just getting anything done. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've taken a couple of Kickstarter courses, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. I planned the third book already for Kickstarter,
Nice.
and a little graphic novel that me and Mike Benson in the chat have planned.
Oh, excellent.
My cover artist. So that's exciting.
tell us about the cover because Martin,
Yeah.
who is not here, Martin sits in on a lot of our podcasts.
Yeah, I miss him.
We recruited him
Unfortu-
eventually. Took a
Unfortunately,
while.
he said he was not feeling well tonight. I don't know if he's not feeling well today or he just doesn't want to look at the eyeball because he's very weirded out by the eyeball art on your cover. So if you want to talk about the cover, that's kind of interesting.
How do I talk about the cover?
You don't have to talk about the cover.
Yeah, no, it was somebody, who was it today, mentioned the Clockwork Orange, Damien? Yeah, because that was definitely some inspiration. There's a certain part of being hospitalized that you feel completely at the mercy of the people who are like taking care of you. And that's kind of what I wanted to get across with that cover, because most of the second book deals with hospitalization and treatment, and so I wanted to. We were discussing a way to portray that that notion that like you're basically given medication against your will, and so that's kind of what the cover tries to portray.
The hand extending into the iris on the pupil there.
Right. Certainly not force feeding the eyeball.
Yeah.
I've stared at it so long. I'm like, do you want to eat some pills? So
There is a question in the chat. What is the capital of North Dakota?
God damn it.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure who I am Dr. D is.
I think
but
I know who that
Alright.
is.
we're going to skip that question,
Skip
actually.
that question. It's a default.
What Aaron and I just went and saw Scott McCloud speak a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking a lot about eyes. What's it we do?
We
it's-
name drop as many as we can. We have a checklist of names we're going to drop, like Nick Cognetti.
Nick
who just
Cognetti,
just
friend
concluded,
of the show.
just concluded his run on Pink Lemonade. Let me think of.
No, but he was talking
more.
a lot about eyes and expressiveness and things like that. But this eye doesn't necessarily.
Express.
Well, I mean, I think there's a fear in there.
Yeah.
but just how it was interesting using just eyes and how how expressive they were and telling emotions and things like that. This is a weird one to me.
What's like a medical diagram? Because like all the parts, because it's like
Yeah.
the
The
part.
whole eye is exposed.
Yeah, the part that would show emotion is kind of omitted, and the only movement is from like medical forceps or whatever you might call those.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a medical doctor. I just play one on TV.
How much of this is based in? I mean, obviously, this is a lot of very personal stuff, and we've talked about mental health and things like that on here before, as well as not on here, just in general.
Yeah.
How much of this is rooted in personal experience, and how much is this just expressive, a way that you've processed some of this in maybe a more expressive manner?
I would say like 90-10.
Like ground beef.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all ground beef. 100% SD. No, 90-10, like 90% of it was real and factual, and then 10% was like emotional and included my characters into it, because characters actually didn't exist before I was hospitalized. Like I made them up after I was discharged. So I had to come up with the characters.
Do you want to talk about being hospitalized?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
It's fun times. No, I considered starting this podcast out with a trigger warning, because I thought we might get into some suicidal, depressing.
We can do it 10 minutes in.
Yeah, here's your.
Yeah, I mean,
trigger warning.
we're typically very. I'm obviously incredibly funny, but we're typically a goofy, silly podcast. We do touch on real things because I think that's adjacent to art is a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling, and sometimes a lot of trauma. And I think that those things kind of go hand in hand a bit. So we are, none of us take any of this lightly. We want to be serious about these subjects because we do talk about, you talk about things like self-harm and things like that, and suicidal thoughts and actions. So that is a bit of a trigger warning that, yeah, we treat this serious, even though we're going to probably have some fun and make some jokes, we're treating this seriously. Sorry.
Yeah. So it happened it started in February of 2020, and it was that point where I realized that I was that I needed to be hospitalized, that I could not keep myself safe. And I ended up taking a bus to Syracuse and checking myself into a hospital in Syracuse.
You know it's serious when you're getting on a bus to Syracuse to deal with it. That's intense.
It was. It's like, all right, things are not okay. I need to hop a bus and ghost my counselor at the same time.
Who was your counselor? Or where was your counselor? Is he just in town?
In Oswego, yeah. Yeah, ICS.
No, actually, I guess my time frame is a little skewed because
Yeah.
I thought this was like, this is a month before the pandemic.
Yep.
We're talking. I guess I thought this had happened going into or a couple months into the pandemic, and I always felt like the conversations we had that played a part in it, and maybe it did because it still was a very real thing
Yeah.
that people had to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think book 3 is actually going to deal with a lot of the ramifications of the pandemic and how that affected my mental health. Obviously, book 2 is just it's almost an after the fact. The pandemic happening. It was something that we weren't really aware of in the hospital, and it wasn't an issue until after I got out.
Yeah, it's gotta be wild to like get out and like, because it was, I mean, obviously affected everybody. It was all over the media and the news and everything. And to like get out and like and just be hit with it all at once instead of, hear inklings of it and then things kind of creep in. I remember when I was teaching people like, oh yeah, we won't be at school, tomorrow or something like that. And it's like, well, for me in this regard, it was like a snow day because like I never believe it until the call comes through.
Right.
But at least I had like that warning, and you're just like, worldwide pandemic. Here you go.
Yeah, you get let out of the hospital, and it's like, oh, by the way, lockdown.
How long were you in the hospital?
About a week.
Okay.
Yep. about 7 days, maybe 8.
We won't dwell on this too much longer, but what does that look like when you're there for
Sure.
7 days? Like, I don't.
Yeah, you go check in the ER, and they give you a room upstairs. The book talks about how I had a couple of doctors talk to me on the way up, and they're not always, I was checking in at like 10 or 11 at night, and I felt like I had the B or C crew on. I did not feel like I was getting the best doctors. But then they moved me around from a couple of units, because at one point we were in like the children's unit because there wasn't anybody in there and they just had overflow. So we moved there. Then at another point we moved upstairs to the main
Wing
ward.
or floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just 3 meals a day and group counseling, group projects, see a doctor once a week type of thing.
Once a week.
Yeah, they're pretty booked. So I think I saw my doctor once while I was there the whole week.
That's it?
Yeah.
That seems very. Again, I don't know anything, but that seems
Well,
very.
Counselors and doctors are very in demand. Like
Yeah.
when I worked at the college in the health center, like the counselors were booked out a super long time. So like they I think they did have walk-ins scheduled, but they couldn't do any kind of meaningful like extended stuff there. They would always have to refer to somewhere else because there was the need for it is just. I mean, it was high then. It's probably even higher now.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the past few years has done.
Yeah.
Like, everybody that's teetering on that blunt edge, boy, who knows? Like, it's been a. And I don't want to say we're over it. I don't want to say it's done, but like, boy, like life has radically changed in the past
Yeah.
3 years. So yeah, you're probably right, even more so. And I can only imagine the burnout of medical professionals over the course of this time with
I
all the,
can't even
the
imagine.
things that they've dealt with, where you probably have a lot of people in the profession going, "I'm just done. I need
Yeah.
I need to focus on myself and find my own, way through this, and I just can't deal with the system anymore." And you probably have more and more people than ever that need those type of mental health services. Yeah. This is incredibly depressing. Let's talk to
about the
Jennifer.
artwork.
Yes,
Right.
let's talk to Jennifer. Tell us. You say you're not an artist. I always claim that I'm not an artist either, although people browbeat me into saying that I'm an artist. How do you know Jonathan? And then how'd you get involved in doing some art for him?
I've known him a long time. He's friends with both of my brothers since middle school or so. And just going over to his house with them, we met. I think he saw just some random pictures I had put online and he liked them.
It
So
was
he
very random.
recruited me.
Yeah. I was like, you can draw?
So you must have. You said you have no training, but I don't believe that. You must have taken art classes in high school, college,
Well, yeah,
something. Yeah.
regular ones in high school.
Okay. What brought you to creating art and making art?
I don't know, just liked it. I usually draw flowers. Once in a while, some other things. People never before. His first book is the first human face I ever drew, ever.
That's cool.
It took
Wow.
me months.
Pragma.
Yep.
It's a good face.
We do, actually, let's see. Can we get a copy of that? What do you want? Pages?
Yeah,
Or
it's
if you want to
actually
find it?
after my own face, so.
It's
Is that in the Pocket of Fears? The first
Yes.
the first one.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to the doc.
We'll
cam.
go to the doc cam.
Good job,
Oh,
Cam,
my
everybody.
goodness.
Page 61.
This is where I play a doctor on the
Yes.
podcast because I'm in front of the doc cam.
Okay.
Stall for time here. Oh, here
Yep.
Hey, we're looking at things, doing things and looking at things. There we go. Yeah, very very well done. Face the hair in particular. Hair is tough to draw.
Yeah, I had to
especially-
do one area at a time, learning how to draw an eye, learning how to draw a mouth. So it took a long time.
That's pretty impressive. If that's the first
Yeah.
time you've ever tried to
Mhm.
draw a portrait.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on there with the shading, like the hatching,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of dots, like the bokeh effect, like that circular lighting effect
Mm-hmm.
in there.
Good value.
Yeah, really good stuff.
You get the real dark eyes. Excellent.
And I'll be teaching my 8th graders how to draw faces later this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, in case you wanted to know.
How do you draw? How do you draw a face?
Well, I start with the eyes first because like
Wrong.
students. Well, but we just focus on each part of the face first, and then we break it down into proportion later on. And students really like drawing eyes, particularly with like rainbow tears and like or like blood or like the bloodshot eye. So like there's some buy-in there. It's like drawing skulls. It's like, oh, you don't like art? How about we draw some skulls? And they're like, even some kids are like, all right, I'll draw a skull.
It's metal
it's-
enough.
Well, you gotta find your way in.
Yeah, you
and,
gotta
and then you
meet them
drop
where
the
they are.
academics on them,
Mm-hmm.
You drop the science.
as
Oh,
you do.
Jonathan, tell us a little bit more about Kickstarter. I know that Aaron's actually.
Mm-hmm.
This summer I'll probably start putting together the stuff for Kickstarter because I'm working on a collected edition of Wesley 1 through 9 plus bonus stuff plus rework stuff plus extra stuff.
Cool.
That'll be dropping next year sometime. So I've been paying close attention to like the Kickstarter stuff and trying to figure out, going through other people's campaigns and seeing like what kind of things they offer, and then thinking like, am I really going to be able to do that with a 1-year-old and a full-time job? I go,
Right.
maybe if I make it a year in advance. So that's kind of the
But I know you mentioned that you went to Kickstarter school.
that's
I took some courses. Yeah, I purchased a book called How to Sell Your Book on Kickstarter, and signed
Was
up.
that book a Kickstarter to start with?
It was.
See, I'm so upset. I know what's going on here.
It was genius marketing.
Kickception.
Kickception. And they've been pretty solid. Russell Nolte and Monica Lionel were
Nick
the
Nolte, I know him.
for the authors. And I have a third Kickstarter plan for the third book.
When are you going to do that?
Thinking May or June.
Of this year?
Yeah.
You're a maniac. Why do you do that to yourself?
I just
Let
stay
it
home
breathe.
and write.
Let it breathe for 30 seconds.
No,
You're good.
I have to
no.
write. I'm gonna be dead tomorrow.
Oh well,
Okay, Aaron. Now give your spiel about why you have to create art because you think you're going to die tomorrow.
I do understand where you're coming from with that because
Do
like,
you understand that? Are you the type of person that has to make art because you feel like you just need to put something into the world?
I would say no, but my work says otherwise.
Well, okay.
Well, because there's certain stories that I want to tell, and it takes so long, especially to do like a comic story, that's why I work so. I don't work fast. I've started to calm down a little bit, but in the beginning of it, it's just like I want some version of this story to exist. So at least like if I step off a curb and get hit with a bus tomorrow,
Right.
like and be like, well, he did something.
Yes, he did.
It wasn't very good, but he did it.
He slowed down a bit, but then he'll say, "Yeah, with my 1-year-old, it's hard to get work in, so I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning so I can get a few pages done." Like that's the Aaron I know.
It's
So-
not a lie.
So yeah, you're moving through Kickstarter at a pretty
Yeah.
good clip here.
Yeah, you could probably do a deep dive on why I work or why I write so much. But ultimately, yeah, I just want to. These 3 stories kind of hit me all at the same time, and they were like, oh, it's a complete arc. It's Jonathan 1.0, 2.0, and then 3.0. It's he
Star Wars Empire and Return of the Jedi.
yeah. And my own counselors pointed out how I was kind of evolving through the writing of these books, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like a Pokemon.
That's good. That's real good. Do you have
yeah.
formal writing training?
Slightly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to SUNY Oswego, got my degree in filmmaking, but also minored in creative writing.
Important for filmmaking.
Yes, yeah. Dig my screenwriting classes. Yep. With the 2 hosts look at each other.
Tell us about the character.
Writing the stage direction there.
Yes. Tell us about the characters in your book. Because I think that you had asked, and actually maybe even Aaron, you can maybe look at some of your art here too on the cam.
Oh yeah. I worked with Jonathan on this too.
You did.
On the first book or the second book?
Doesn't
Both.
matter.
Okay.
No, you worked on both of them.
yes,
yeah.
you did.
So where are we going? We're going to.
Well,
No,
you wanted to talk
Jonathan's
about
going
the
to tell us about the characters
characters.
because these
Okay.
characters came out of your. I mean, like not just time at the hospital, but
Well,
I don't know. You
came-
talk about it.
All right, they came out of some hours of therapy actually. When I was discussing a lot of anxiety or depression, and my counselor was like, "Well, why don't you write about that?"
Ooh, that's depression right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to go on record. I love this illustration
Yeah.
with the pencil and all those thick lines and the shading
Yeah.
in there. They came out great.
That was Maddie Bouchard.
Great work.
And then it's kind of replicated again in my silent cacophony.
The same artist returned to the same character.
Not the same artist, but a different artist who did the same character. I believe it's. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the.
We saw Aaron Z. Lee in there.
Yes. Not Valentine's. You did Valentine's.
Some Evan Coy in
Day.
there as
Oh,
well.
that's a hack job. It's so weird how if I were to draw that again today, 6 months later, it would be totally different.
The High Cost of Arrows, page 18. That's the one. Depressing
Returns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who did that one?
Yeah, I did that one.
Oh,
Jonathan provided me some good reference. And
What's that?
the,
Oh,
are we in the,
Rejection.
are we in the wrong book?
No.
Okay.
I thought you were going to
Tell us about the
the
characters.
High Cost of Arrows. The characters are manifestations of my own emotions. So number one is probably Mr. Anxiety. He was the first one I created in the first book. Doesn't get featured a whole lot in the second book, artistically, I think, but narratively, he's in there quite a lot. Mr. Anxiety kind of tends to be my arch enemy. He's the one I'm doing battle with most often. And then there's depression, confidence, rage.
I did Rage this time,
You did rage.
Yeah.
Yes. Rage on his arms.
and I'm not an artist. That was like because I've been drawing a lot more with Aaron lately, and I know how to draw.
Mhm.
But doing something for someone,
Mhm.
that was really challenging.
Right.
And I really like. I don't know. I enjoyed the challenge. I'm not going to deny that, but man, it's really tough. It's interesting, like making something for yourself, and then if I was to commission you to write a short story for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you've got so many reps in it writing that wouldn't be an issue for you. But I was thinking, oh yeah, I can do something. I can draw something,
Right.
and I got something going pretty quick. But man, all of a sudden I was like, he's gonna put this in a book. Like
Turned into a
people
chore.
might see this.
Yeah.
Oh god, I stink.
Well, you're just getting in your head too much.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well,
It's-
I wondered if you.
It's
did
Mr.
that.
Anxiety that was in my
Yeah,
head
yeah.
when I was dealing with Mr. Rage.
I wonder if that happened to you as well, like when you were like tasked with, because you've never been tasked with creating a character before, and so I wonder if you could talk on like what it's like to take on like somebody else's character and have to bring them to life.
Definitely the first one. Even after it was done, I felt like it wasn't good enough. But then everyone around me was like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah.
Yes. I remember just trying to fix each little part. Like, these eyes don't look good enough. Or like, this hair is crazy. But I remember sending it back and forth with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was much easier when you have
You could
someone else
get
like, "Oh, you
feedback.
should, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
make the hair more curly or whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, to get a fresh set of eyes on stuff is important sometimes. As a recovering graphic designer, I know I've been like so close to some documents where I get I've been 48 hours of work time into something, and I'm like, is the spelled right? The is THE, right? It's like just so into it. You need that second set of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do these characters have personality, but there's a visual element that you've come up with as well.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's a great question.
Thank
Because I didn't initially plan the visual element. It kind of came out of the initial Kickstarter overperforming, and,
Oh, okay.
and me
Interesting.
having to come up with like, oh crap, now I have to like do stretch goals and stuff. All right, well if we do another $1,000, I'll put art in the book. thinking that we would never get another $1,000, and then we did, and now there's art in every single one of the books.
What a nice problem to have with that too.
I mean, it's a logistical problem for sure. It's been a bit of a headache with the second book, but with the third book, I learned that I'm gonna flip it and do the artwork kind of while the writing is going on,
Okay.
and try and have all the commissions done before the Kickstarter goes live.
Yeah, that's got to be tough to wrangle so many different different pieces. I know I've commissioned some work for the Wesley Collected that I'm working on, and I'm very pleased with the stuff that's come in. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes, like I totally forget about it, and then I like mention it again, and then it like takes a little while longer, and then it shows up, and it's like which is nice, but I also don't want to like be overbearing with people, but. Luckily, I can draw my book myself, so
Yeah.
so I can, my boss will get me up at 3 a.m. to work on the pages, and he doesn't get too mad at me. So, but working with other folks, it's because you can't inhabit their lives with like that level of that, but it's yielding good results too. And what another thing I like too is this is what I would like to do if I ever get successful with the Kickstarter or something like that. You bring your crew, like you're like who do I have
your
that's an art
posse.
who can draw?
Yeah.
Let's get everybody together and let's make something. I love the spirit of that.
Yeah.
To the old Kevin Eastman.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
a Ninja Turtles reference for.
Yeah. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird created the Turtles. They were wildly successful. Kevin Eastman made a company called Tundra. If you're familiar with this,
I'm not.
he lost millions and millions of dollars because
He brought the homies with him.
Yeah, he's just like, you got an idea for comic, and you 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 and you. Here's a 30K advance. Let's make the books. And the guys were like, 30K? You're not going to see me again. But that's if I ever became independently
Aaron
wealthy,
and I
that
have the
would-
same vision of like, let's just get a lot of money and then just give it all
Then
away.
Peace out.
I would do that too. I feel like that's a noble goal.
But it's fun. Yeah, you want to bring the homies with
Yes.
you. Actually, so yeah, you said that originally the art wasn't a piece of My Pocket of Fears, My Silent Cacophony, but now it seems to be a pretty important part.
Yeah, now I can't really imagine the books without them, or the characters who are like actually hanging around my apartment. So yeah, it was just kind of one of those happenstance that happens after something great really happens, and you have like this sweet problem to have. It's like, oh, I have to reward all my backers on Kickstarter with something additionally, so I guess I will go and commission a whole bunch of artwork, and that'll now be a trend throughout all three of these books.
That is really cool. I mean, something I think of is like the literary magazines that a college or a high school might put together that has poetries and short stories, might have images in there too. I don't know if I've seen like a poetry book that has like images that run through by different artists. That I don't know if I've seen that particular thing before. Have you seen a book like that before?
Not exactly, no. I've seen some poetry books with artwork gone alongside it, but the narrative structure of the books is, I think, pretty unique.
Yeah.
Whereas there's poetry kind of woven in with the narrative, and that's something that I will continue with book 3, but maybe a little less poetry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm moving
More
away
narrative?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I handed out paper and pens to people. Everybody should write a poem real quick.
Where's your poem?
Just
Go.
Just real quick.
Go.
You didn't get paper? These guys didn't
There's
get
a paper right there and a pen right there.
Thought of a question.
Take mine.
All right.
I don't want to do it.
Jonathan.
Yes.
And this is not a joke. My Pocket of Fears, your first book, is the best-selling piece from a local artist or writer since I've been here.
Yeah.
Why is that?
3 years.
3 years. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I have no idea.
You do.
Why? Well, some of it has to do with me, I suppose.
No.
No.
No, it has to do with you.
No. Okay. Because I did explicitly, start out with the comic shop being like ground zero, like the base for my book. You guys supported me so much, I wanted to return the support, and that's why I've had like every release be here.
All right, I'm going to go back. It's not you. I think you're dealing with subject matter that I'm always very impressed the number of people that come in, pick up the book, and it's on the front counter or side counter. So I mean, it's great merchandising on my part. But I try to dissuade people from buying it in a way.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's reverse psychology.
Because I tell them, like, when they pick up the book, I go, hey, this is a local. Do you know? First, I'll say, do you know Jonathan?
Sure.
And I would say maybe 30% of the time the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And the other 70% of the time they say no. And I say, just so you know, this deals with some heavy material. There's some emotional stuff. There's some pretty intense stuff in there. Just so you know, like I don't want you to be surprised if you're flipping through and you see a few things that are triggering, like we said. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, and again, this is not some kind of reverse psychology effort or attempt on my part. Oftentimes, people will say, "Oh, no, that's great," and we sold one the other day. My girlfriend is bipolar.
Yeah.
I think she would really appreciate this. And I go, "Oh, that's cool." So I feel like you're dealing with something again. Circling back to what we maybe talked about at the beginning, that a lot of people are experiencing things like this, or have touched upon things like this. And I think, especially in this day and age, it's more and more important and prevalent to like talk about and go see people and explore these things, as opposed to hop on your, I'm going to date myself here, as Wellbutrin, even antidepressants anymore. I don't even know if that's an SSRI. That might be back in the 80s or 90s.
People are still on Wellbutrin.
But you take your Prozac and that's it. And you're for your guy, you're maybe not even a guy. You suck it up and you just deal with it. And I think that there's a much healthier approach in the past several years to mental health. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm very rarely wrong. I think that this is a link that some people could use to, again, explore more avenues or options. And it's a fictionalized account,
Right.
but it really resonates with people, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I've seen that too. If people will message me after picking up the book or after the Kickstarter, and they got their copy, and people are like, "Wow, you managed to put into words what I've been dealing with, for a while," or
and that's difficult to do. It's one of those things. Damien, Aaron and I saw Scott McCloud a few weeks ago, and he was able to put a lot of things about art that we talk about and understand, but able to put it in words that you go, "Oh my gosh, I get it now, I understand." And I feel like it could be a very similar situation where they're dealing with these feelings, these issues. They know exactly what you're talking about, but then the way that you phrase something or the way that you turn a paragraph is like, oh, he just connected all the dots so much better than I could. I think that there's something there that exists.
Is that a question?
No, I got off my soapbox. Aaron, ask a question.
Well, let's take one from the chat. This one is for Jonathan 3.0.
Yes.
How large is the file size of Jonathan 3.0?
3 terabytes.
3 terabytes.
Yep.
I don't know if that's like
That's a hefty,
too much data
it's
or
a hefty
not enough.
download.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hefty download. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's in the chat, who did the cover for both books, as well as Mr. Anxiety in the first book.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your relationship with Michael. Tell us about his history with art.
Mikhail.
Sorry.
He let's see. We met him. I met him 2009, working at Walmart out here, and we both hated it. So we were like, how can we get out of this?
That's a podcast, actually. We get all the people associated with the comic shop that have worked at Walmart that hate Walmart, and they just let them rant about Walmart.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's a legit podcast. It's the worst place to work.
Yep, I've worked there. It is the worst.
See? Oh, man. Welcome back to We Hate Walmart.
It just makes me wonder, like, the level of creativity of the people currently working at Walmart and like what they could produce.
Right. That's an excellent point, because you have some extremely talented people who are just whiling away, stocking the shelves and getting bitched out by customers.
So, Mikhail,
Yeah. We hit it off instantly. We became best friends, and he's super visually talented, and I think of myself as linguistically talented. And so we kind of just naturally paired up with, why don't you draw stuff and I'll write stuff?
had you done something with him prior to this?
Actually, yes. I'm going to go back to a little web comic that we started called Zoning. That was based on our experiences at Walmart and how it would translate to like a science fiction or fictional fantasy world.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and he ended up signing up for the army, and we never finished it. So I blame him for that one.
J Spence 90.
That's the best D&D class.
What's the best D&D class? That's open to anyone in the room, really. But Jonathan,
Anybody?
if you'd like to
I'll
start.
take that one. Ogre Fighter. That's a class and a race.
Thank you.
Because I D&D with John in the chat. That's what that is.
Is that your character?
Yep.
What do you
Yeah.
play?
Yeah, it's he's the DM.
Okay.
Yeah, so you should get him down here for some Dungeons and Dragons.
We haven't done any D&D down here in so long.
Oh,
I used to during the pandemic. I used to listen to the D&D sessions. They were
Uh-huh.
like a lot of fun, like with Dexter and.
Yeah, we did
some other folks.
at the beginning of the pandemic to try to keep everybody together. We did a bunch of D&D streams for almost a year, probably.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just different stuff. That was fun.
yeah. I was entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those things we poured a ton of time and energy into that, just to save 10, 15 of us all just hanging out. But it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Keeps the community.
I want to shout out the Paranoia and Storage. This is your new work for this. I really like the ghost image on these. Are we going to go to the doc cam here? Just the people
Storge.
sitting at a store game.
that
Okay.
was, yeah.
I looked through this earlier and I stopped on this page because I like this image of just what seems like possibly just a normal scene here, but then like this little ghost.
I wasn't really sure how that was going to translate, to be honest. I was really nervous about that one.
Yeah, it was drawn in color. And
So was that a
switched
request
over.
on your part, Jonathan, or was that just your idea creatively?
I don't want to throw him under the bus, but
What are you talking about?
it was from because they're
They're smoking.
they're smoking, and he has
Smoking
said
what?
before
Smoking what?
The
how
salmon.
that makes you feel.
I think that's great, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
came out
sure.
great too.
You should get
So
Yes.
So
No, I
before
said
before it
yes.
was like so you're like flowers, faces. Now a scene of people in a room sitting on a couch with a table in front of them
Yes.
with like realistic gestures and such. So
Mhm.
so what's next?
He has recruited me for the third one already.
This is going to be an architectural drawing of like
The city of Oswego.
the city of Oswego. Just increase the difficulty
Yep.
exponentially each time.
Yeah, I thought I'd do like 15
It's going to be
people.
use curvilinear
Jonathan Art
perspectives. And
School.
Yeah. You got 9 characters now? We're up to 9 characters, so you can draw 9, right?
It would take me 9 years.
oh, there's a question in the audience. Hold on. Yes.
Do you need to come up to the microphone?
Sure, you can go up to the mic.
I
That works.
just wanted to, leading in, part of that is, do you have all your artists lined up for next book?
Oh.
Are you offering your skills as an artist? That's a definite maybe.
The art on the third book is still in the process. It's such a logistical question for my mother. But I do intend to keep a lot of the artists from my silent cacophony.
You got a shot, Evan.
Yes.
I think I told you I wouldn't do one again. I'd do one again.
All right. Great. I want you back.
We recruited him again.
I read the book. I processed my trauma. I'm ready to do another piece of
Did
art.
you read the book?
Yep.
What was your takeaway? We only got 4 minutes left.
No, actually, I didn't read the new one yet. I've been so busy in the past week. I've
right.
done like no research, so that's why I'm just relying on.
Did you get your copy?
Yes, it's in my driver's side door,
Word.
so I can just in case of emergency. I can
Yeah,
just
you're
reach
stuck
down
in
and-
traffic. Just flip through a
Yeah.
couple of pages. Yeah.
MT Grapes
Awesome.
needs more flying buttresses. I'm not sure what that refers to.
Do you?
but
Are there
I'm sure
any
it's-
flying buttresses in these?
All right, well,
Oh, okay.
I know who
coming
that
back
is,
around.
but I do not understand it. We're getting all these like inside jokes to me, and I'm like, I don't understand. I don't remember that.
See, like I'm such a literal brain where I'm like, oh, flying buttresses. I must have missed something.
Yeah, check,
where
open
is
the
that?
book up.
my favorite kind of buttress is flying. Yeah, I mean,
You know, they serve a purpose.
yeah.
So yeah, I just want to shout out the comic shop.
112 East Bridge Street.
112
The comic
East
shop.
Bridge
Comic
Street,
shop.
The comic shop. I was hoping we'd do that all at the same time, so it'd really be.
It was like around that
Yeah.
time. It was-
But you guys took the first chance on me and put up my book right away, and it was awesome. And I just want
We
to say
love
thank
you.
you.
I love you, Jonathan.
I love you
Thanks
too.
for sharing your stories and art with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like that level of honesty to put out in something that people are gonna
A
read and
Barnes and
consume
Noble?
for. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a offhand bookstore. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't think I would have been comfortable. I needed something local to put it out,
Yeah.
brick and mortar first.
Where else is your book available?
It's right now. It's on my website, jonathanashline.com. It is also on Amazon, but the formatting is kind of weird, so don't buy it from Amazon.
No, don't buy it from Amazon. Buy it directly from the author or support a local
Yes.
business like us.
The
or
comic shop or the Rivers End bookstore also has it, or they will have it soon.
Did you go see Nick Gentile's play?
I missed it.
Oh my god.
You weren't supposed to ask for that.
It was good.
It was
I
shame on you.
I
It
know.
was so good.
public shaming right here.
But anyway, Emil.
That's what we do to all our guests.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go out the room. We're all gonna criticize. One criticism of Jonathan.
Okay. This
so
was going to be
everybody-
a roast. I told Jen it was going to be a roast to me.
Do we have any poems that anybody wrote that they want to share before we
I saw a
we?
poem over there.
There's a poem somewhere. Let's see.
wrote my first poem ever.
Can all right. Is it okay if Jonathan reads your poem, or would you like to read your poem?
There was a lot of crossing out.
Do you want to read it? Sure. All right, you have a seat.
Oh wow.
That's what
No,
this
really,
podcast is
that's-
all about.
Inspired me
Feet.
'cause you made your first art piece, and now I just wrote my first poem. Now I'm
Wonderful.
shaking. Okay.
Jonathan, can you introduce our poet?
Oh God, I'm a poet now.
Yes. Legally binding.
I'm an artist.
Legally binding.
This
I'm
is,
a poet as of right now. What time is it?
this is Beth Baglio.
Oh God, that's my name.
Yep.
Okay. this
Reading
is
her
real.
first poem ever.
Entitled.
Oh, I'm on video.
Yes.
Okay. Oh God. All right. Oh my God, I'm actually nervous. Hold on, I need a moment.
Don't worry, nobody watches this.
Okay, perfect. Ready?
I just
I have to. I feel like I have to have like a tone for it though. Okay. Words are what teachers tell you to write, but make sure you change this and that, otherwise your readers won't bite. If you have the right hook, you can write any book, but without a catchy title, forget getting ready for the recital. What I didn't realize my whole entire life was that by fearing others' interpretations, I became prisoner of thoughts of a knife. But a knife would leave blood, and the blood would leave tears. Cause tears. I changed that word a lot. And the tears brings me back to not writing the title. Yay, I wrote a poem, yay! And also, I never knew I was an artist, but I also was hospitalized at one point, and art therapy is what saved me. So everything's weird, and I don't know what's going on, and I'm confused. Now I'm on a
Now
podcast.
you're on.
Yeah, and so is me. I'm so.
It's all serendipitous here. All these things happen for a reason. Does anybody else have a poem they want to share with us?
Yes, you do. Please. You can be anonymous, but if anyone wrote, this is what I did in art therapy, was my favorite part of it was hearing other people's,
We do have another poem.
so, but don't share unless you want to.
All right, Jonathan is going to read this poem for us.
All right. I'm checking it for lewd language.
No, you got to go in. You got to go in blind. No.
Knows me too well.
A science poem. There was a young lady called Bright who could travel much faster than light. She went out one day in an Einsteinian way and returned on the previous night.
D. Vander 64. Looking forward to reading the new book and excited to learn a third is planned. That's so nice.
How many people are in the chat?
Nobody knows.
There's there's a lot of people in the chat.
They're all bots.
They're not bots.
Does anybody else have any poems?
I
Have
know
we-
these
have
people.
we-
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Back here?
Yeah.
No, but really that was
my favorite part of like my healing. So that's why I'm here. Is I wanted to like support him.
That's awesome.
But I guess I don't know even at this point who supported who first. But
It's like when you're in the circle and everybody sits back and you're all sitting on each other's laps and you're like, you don't know where it starts or ends. Did anybody understand that at all? I'm sorry.
I'm picturing it to figure it out.
Okay, it's like a human centipede, but a kind,
Oh,
gentle one.
Wow. Okay.
who knows? When I was in the hospital, I was like, I'm gonna get better. The only way to get better is to go to every single possible thing they offer in the hospital. And I hated art. I didn't know I actually really loved it. But what I hated about it was that it had to be a certain way in school. And so I wasn't allowed to make it abstract. I wasn't allowed to make it how I wanted it to be. And I was also, my writing was forced to be changed. You have to get a grade. I just quit my job as a Spanish teacher.
Oh,
but
muy
I was
bien.
the same way that I didn't want to teach Spanish. I wanted to teach everyone that the language and the culture of every single person in the world is as amazing and unique as yourself. And so I ended up leaving teaching because I was forced to teach Spanish, which that's the short version. But I wanted to teach it in a more cultural way, and I wasn't allowed. So I left teaching. But art therapy, my favorite part was hearing why people drew the art that they did. And I love art because you can hide anything you want within the art. So words, people think they know what you're talking about, but poems actually, that was my first poem ever, but poems, you make a whole entire story and you concise it down to this little meaning that could be relevant for anyone and everyone. So yeah, so thanks for letting me share.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was awesome. We're so good at this.
You guys are the best.
It's time to celebrate
Little
with
stevia.
some Zevia. That's right.
All
Not
right.
not an official sponsor, but I'm looking for a sponsor. We can take that.
You just got to get on camera instead of hanging half off the screen the whole time.
Well, that's why they call me Half Face.
Half face.
I don't know. Jonathan,
Yes.
pitch us your book.
All right. My Silent Cacophony is the sequel to my first book, My Pocket of Fears. Both books are on depression and mental disorders and hospitalization, and getting better through your own insights and externalizing your demons. It's on sale at the comic shop.
112 East Bridge Street, the comic shop. Oh, boy. Aaron. Oh,
Huh?
Jennifer, do you have any final words you'd like to leave us with? Something inspiring?
Uninspiring. I used to tell
I
myself
have a good question of how we should finish.
Yeah.
We'd all like to know more about you, Jonathan, so could you read your author profile from the back of the book?
Oh.
All right. Did you have anything else before I read this?
No, you can go.
Are you sure you didn't
Yes.
have any profound?
Yeah, say something that's whatever's on there. Doesn't have to be
All right, read us your artist bio, then, Aaron, I think you're going to take us home.
I just
Okay.
ruined this book.
It's $15.
All right. Jonathan C. Ashline is an author, poet, multidimensional chimera handler, and a Scorpio. When he isn't writing or wrangling mythological monsters from other space-times, he can be found relaxing at his spirit ranch with his ghost wives, Agatha, and the one who shall not be named. He's currently working on his next novel, Cthulhu Zoo 2 Electric Boogaloo.
You're a brilliant writer.
Made up by Evan.
Mr. Lee, take us home.
You've been listening to a silent cacophonous podcast with me, Aaron Z. Lee.
Oh, hi. Or goodbye. I'm Evan Coy. And we're here today with our two very special guests. A lot of very special guests. But Mr.
Jonathan C. Ashline.
and
Jennifer Murphy.
I think that's it. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.